Yeah.
Okay.
If we can make it work so it's not, you get it close to his mouth but not in his face, then he's comfortable with it, then that should be fine.
And
We can, if I speak like that, how do you, is there a difference between speaking like that and speaking like that?
If you move further away from it.
Yeah, if I move further away, so I have to speak like that.
Yes.
No, I cannot speak like that, or I can speak like that. I have to speak like that.
Yeah. Okay, you have to talk in reverse. Just put it right in your face, like it's an ice cream. We adjust it anymore. There's going to be a lot of feedback and stuff. Speaker recordings for Zoom, with Zoom especially.
Yeah, this is the issue. This is the issue, the Zoom, This is why you have to speak so close.
All right.
Because otherwise we have this feedback in Zoom. This is why this is so difficult, because before we didn't have Zoom and life was easier.
How do we check if we have feedback on Zoom?
Yeah, I'm recording it on Zoom.
You're recording. Maybe people at home can tell me if there is any feedback.
Yeah.
People at home, Jason, Jane,
yeah.
Kate, is there any feedback, double talk, double?
I could also connect myself to by my phone. Yeah, because one day I have so horrible feedback.
Mm-hmm.
It was really like feedback was noisier than normal sound.
Well, Jason is saying that okay so far.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so for today I set up camera like this. It's a little bit closer than usual.
No, that's okay. Yeah. It's only me for this session, so that's okay.
Yeah.
No, normally when Geshe is teaching, then I put
more.
it there. When it's me, I put it closer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm just wondering if the mic is like this, the mic will not catch also sound of Geshe when he will be speaking.
Oh, okay.
No, it's too far away.
Too far.
Okay. Yeah, because if I speak like that, then.
Mm-hmm. And do you think Geshe will be okay with speaking to this mic?
I think so. We probably also have to find. Yeah. We had mic. Yeah, we had a mic like that before.
Oh, okay.
I mean, let's say, if I speak from here, can you hear me? Can you hear? So there's. Okay.
Yes. Okay, so I will just check on Zoom. I will log on Zoom and we will check if there is a feedback.
Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome. Yeah. I'll have to get you to I'll just wait for her, get you to talk in a little bit.
All right.
Close.
Yeah.
I'll just adjust the just the mid range and the low range now.
Do you live here in the vicinity?
No.
Brisbane.
Sunshine Coast.
Sunshine Coast. All right. Not as bad as Brisbane.
I've seen you heaps of times.
Sorry?
I've been coming here for years.
All right.
Years. Long term CI.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know how long term. I don't know how long it's been now. It's been a few years. Yeah.
It has.
Mm-hmm. I have swept the steps and stuff before. And
yeah, kind of your face is familiar, but I think that I think maybe did you put on weight or did you lose weight?
Did you change your looks?
Yeah.
No,
the face is familiar.
I was about this weight, and then when I'm very first coming, I was not well.
Okay.
Just health and stuff, and yeah, so I was a bit skinnier, but then I got healthy. Then things change in my life. So when I'm a bit of a walkabout, and then come back, and I was probably about 10 kilos less, and I just put it back on again recently.
10 kilos less than that.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually healed myself. Terminated my relationship. Put on 10 kilo, and then just gone to spend time with other people, family.
Yeah.
They were just a bit toxic in there, and been around a lot of negativity. I lost 10 kilo. So yeah.
Well, you look just fine now. Don't lose. Don't put on weight. I mean, I'm your fashion advisor. So you look awesome now.
Yeah.
So anyway, outside I hear good, but I also hear your voice, what is good.
Yeah.
I'm just wonder if for Zoom this mic didn't catch Geshe, but we will see. Because for Zoom this mic can catch your voice, but not for speaker.
Yeah. I guess we'll see tomorrow if we bounce off each other's mic, right? But actually, let me think. Is this one switched on at the moment? If you switch it on, then you can check it out.
Connected. It is connected, yeah. It's on.
Okay. It's on. So maybe I should say something to this mic. But I cannot see here. Hello. Hello. Okay. I think we need to start teachings. So I think we need to go out.
You can stay here if you want. You don't have to run away.
I know. Yeah. I will be listening.
Okay.
If it works.
I didn't get a chance to adjust your.
Yeah. You can stay here and adjust it. Don't worry about it.
You could just say and adjust.
I have to get you to talk.
Yeah. So we'll start in a second, and then you can just adjust me as we go. You can be brutal.
Nah, what?
Yeah, you can be brutal. Don't worry about it.
Because I will be.
Yeah, that's good.
Is he doing a proper teaching?
We're doing a review session, so it's not like don't worry about it. It's not. We're not going to do it. You just do what you need to do. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So we are going to start with Praise Manjushri. So just for the people at home, just going to let you know what's happening. So we have Asa here is helping us setting up the mic system. So we're heading towards the wet season, which means that more rain, and also for the people here and for the people at home, it might be more difficult to hear me and hear Geshe. So we need to set up the audio system, the speaker system. So we have Malgo and Asa that are helping us doing that. Thank you very much. Let's start with Praise the Manjushri. Let's put it on the screen. Obeisance to my Guru and Protector Manjushri holds at his heart the scriptural text invoked of his things or things as they are, whose understanding shines forth as the sun unclouded by defilements or traces of ignorance, who teaches in 60 ways for the patient's love of Father for his only Son. All creatures caught in the prison of samsara, confused in the darkness of their ignorance, overwhelmed by their suffering. You, who strongly thundered proclamation of the Dhamma, arises from the stupor of our delusions and frees us from the iron chains of our karma, whose powerful sword of wisdom hews our sufferings wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of all ignorance. I entreat you, O Manjushri, who princely Buddha is endowed with the 112 marks of Buddha, who has completed the 10 stages, achieving the highest perfection of a Bodhisattva, who has been pure from the beginning. O Manjushri, O loving one, with the brilliance of your wisdom, illuminate the darkness and closing my mind, enlighten my intelligence and wisdom, so I may gain insight into the Buddha's words and the text that explain. Just okay. This computer. Okay. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the highest assembly. From the accumulations that I collect by listening to the teachings, may I attain this state of the Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the highest assembly. From the accumulations that I collect by listening to the teachings, may I attain this state of the Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the highest assembly. From the accumulations that I collect by listening to the teachings, may I attain this state of the Buddha to be able to benefit all sentient beings. All right. If you need to move the mic and play with that, don't worry about it. You can just closer to me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Higher. Just so it's level.
Okay. Cool. So your job is being audio technician? That's your...
just a janitor.
Sorry?
Janitor.
Okay. But you're doing well with audio system?
Everything.
Okay, that's cool. I wish I could be a multi multi-skill?
I've done heaps of stuff. So when I was a little kid before school now, I used to put computers and stuff together and program and stuff. So music, computers, been part of my life since the beginning. All that stuff.
Cool. All right, let's start. So we haven't covered a lot of ground today with Geshe. We've covered, I think, only a couple of verses, 2 verses. So in some sense, I thought myself, I don't have a lot to say because Geshe covered only 2 verses. But then I still have some other things I looked at. I thought it'd be good to add to our not only understanding of the verse or the verses, but also just in terms of enriching the way that we put it into practice. So I thought of doing that, but also we can link it up with some of the stuff that we've covered yesterday. So let's look at what we did yesterday. Sorry? Yeah, so I've also prepared a couple of secondary offenses. So yesterday we looked at, sorry? Yeah, I'm set up for a couple of secondary offenses if you don't mind me. So yesterday we started to look at a section of how it is, or we picked up actually from the section that says that it's unreasonable to be furious with that which hinders mundane interest, right? Not getting what you want. We looked at the benefits of your mundane interest being interrupted. And we spoke about it in terms of how, first of all, we are at the moment controlled by the 8 worldly concerns. At least I'm controlled by the 8 worldly concerns. I believe that also many of you, if you look at your mind, you will also see to what degree you're affected by wishing for happiness, disliking suffering, wanting gain, disliking loss and no gain, wanting praise. Closer to that? Okay. Wanting praise, disliking blame, and liking fame, disliking infamy. So from that point of view, here Shantideva says that you face situations when others interrupt your worldly concerns, 8 worldly concerns, and that sets you off, right? It annoys you, you get angry and so forth. And here Shantideva explains why it is unreasonable to be furious with that which hinders your 8 worldly concerns. So yesterday in my tutorial notes, which we need to send it out. I cannot upload it to the Dropbox because I've reached the maximum quota on the Dropbox. Sorry? Yeah, I can send it to Kathy and Kathy will distribute it around. So in terms of the tutorial notes, let's see where they are. Maybe I'll close them. So in terms of the tutorial notes, we said that in relation to verse 98, there are dangers in looking for praise. And such, just as well, you can say that there are dangers in wanting to have a good reputation, wanting everyone to appreciate us, to think of how great we are. Here, when we look at seeking praise, it's not necessarily that you would be looking into a situation where you'll be sitting on a chair or a throne and everyone will come and sing to you kind of verses, well-composed verses. It's sometimes just kind of wanting to hear that we're doing great, that we've done a great thing, how well we know a certain thing, how well we are performing at work or what have you. So seeking that praise, seeking reputation, seeking fame and so forth. From a worldly perspective, you could say that it's setting us up to disappointment. And from a Buddhist perspective, it says in relation to verse 98, there are dangers in seeking praise. Put it on the screen for a second. So we spoke about it yesterday. The mind becomes excited and arrogant. Your determination to emerge, renunciation, is weakened. You become more attached to possessions, etc. You have less time for study and practice. You will be carried away by the 8 worldly concerns, which is a great danger. You will be distracted away from virtuous objects, and your concentration will not improve or diminish. You will be jealous of others, and your virtue will thus decline, and self-cherishing and self-grasping can increase. So this is what we have spoken about yesterday. I don't think that we've looked at verse 99, so let's quickly look at that. I think that yesterday we've covered that as well. So that which acts to arrest, that also arrests the lower realm. So I think that it's the same thing, or it's continuing in the same vein. So first of all, there is a danger in seeking praise, and therefore Shantideva says that when your seeking of praise is being hindered, when it is interrupted, it is a good thing for you. It is a good thing for you because you avoid those dangers that we've mentioned in relation to verse 98. And on top of that, verse 99 says that it also cuts away avenues for suffering of miserable states of existence. So that which acts to arrest, that also arrests the lower realms in verse 99. Let's quickly read through that. It says, therefore, I know those who are closely involved in destroying my praise and the like, also engaged in protecting me and from falling into the unfortunate realms. Right? Geshe spoke of today and yesterday about how through seeking praise, reputation, fame, gain, and so forth, we have an excessive degree of afflictive emotions. We act based upon our afflictive emotions and end up creating negative actions that result in suffering in miserable states of existence. So this is what he's saying here. Now, I wanted to add to that some points that are taken out from the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampas, which I think that we haven't had the opportunity to mention that in this set of teachings, but many moons ago, many years ago, Chodron Rinpoche was here at Chimrazik Institute, and he gave a weekend teachings on the 10 in 2008. 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago. So he gave teachings on the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampa. Were you here for those teachings?
Yes.
So maybe that's the first time that we met.
Maybe before that.
Maybe before that. All right. So I know you for many, many years now. We're old friends. So, so he taught about the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampa. Sorry?
I said that you can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember that. Yeah, we are friends, but I can't remember that. So, yeah, he gave it teachings, and I think that he was drawing from Pabonka Rinpoche's commentary to the 3 principal aspects of the path, which I have a translation of that particular section on my computer. And I wanted just to draw a little bit from what this topic is saying, because it is very much in line with what Geshe said today and also yesterday. The whole point within the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampa is avoiding the 8 worldly concerns, how we become really serious and genuine, deep Dharma practitioners in trying as much as we can to avoid the 8 worldly concerns. Now, this presentation of the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampa is hardcore, in a sense that if you're a genuine yogi, which can renounce the world, leave the world, and go into retreat, this is how you would do it. This is the type of attitude that you would be developing. So I guess it's not for us at the moment, but still, you can draw from the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampa and improve your practice in trying as much as possible to avoid the 8 worldly concerns. So let's look at them just briefly. So is that all right? Thank you very much, Azza.
Yeah, do that you could do it another time.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
The mic to the side of you is pretty good.
Yeah.
Your voice is pretty punchy.
I think that what we'll do next time is we'll move this here so that the mic will be here, my computer would be here, so then it'd be much easier.
Sponge.
Yeah.
Sponge for you to do.
Yeah.
Put over that.
Okay. Yeah, kind of there is like I aspirate the peas and the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Punchy.
All right. Punchy. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, come for a second for people to see. I've been talking to you. Come here. So that's Asa is the one that is helping us with the mic.
Good evening.
Thank you very much. So so the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampas. So Paponko Rinpoche's text begins with saying, if you do not give up this life's 8 worldly concerns, let alone the practice of Dhamma, it will be difficult to even just shut the door to the miserable realms. And this is what Shantideva is saying here. To practice Dhamma, you need to level the 8 worldly concerns. The practice of the instructions of giving up this life, the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampas, is imperative to rid yourself of the 8 worldly concerns. So the 10 innermost jewels are divided into 4 entrustments, 3 bhajas, then expulsion, pursue, and attainment. So what are they? I'm just going to mention them in general. What I'll do is also I'll send out this text for you just to have. So I'll send it to Kathy, and Kathy will send it to all the people on the list. So I'm just going to here just speak. Going to just mention it in brief. So if you want to level out the 8 worldly concerns and to be a genuine Dhamma practitioner, then you begin with a 4 entrustment, entrusting yourself to the Dhamma from the depth of your heart. And you do that through, first of all, recognizing that you've attained freedoms and endowments. You've attained freedoms and endowments, and you also recognize that you will die, right? So you think that since I am going to die, and that might happen actually quite soon, then rather than seeking things that are not imperative, I do not need in terms of future lifetimes, rather than seeking gain and honor, respect, it's the same thing, good reputation, and so forth. I need to completely from the depth of my heart to entrust myself to my Dhamma practice. So that's the first one. So that requires, to entrust yourself fully to a Dhamma practice requires a lot of study, reflection, and meditation. And particularly, I think that as you look at Lamrim teachings, in order to practice the Buddha Dhamma in a genuine way, you need to have faith in the 3 objects of refuge and the Lamas, and also trust in the way that karma works. That's the very foundation for our cultivation of virtue that will lead to a living cyclic existence. So that's the first entrustment. Then, the second one is entrusting ourselves, entrusting the innermost Dhamma practice to beggarhood, which means to living like a beggar. And this is where kind of it comes even closer to what Shantideva is saying. So when we put something into practice, we don't think about it in terms of wanting to be rewarded, wanting to be praised, wanting to have good reputation and so forth. Just, I'm doing nowadays also some teachings within the Israeli group. So every week we meet on Friday and we speak about the stages of the path. And we're covering at the moment 10 non-virtues. So I'm looking at Lama Tsongkhapa's extensive explanation of the 10 non-virtues, including also Geshe Sopa's wonderful commentary on Lama Tsongkhapa's text. One point I think that Geshe Sopa makes with respect to covetousness is that if you teach the Dhamma, if you practice the Dhamma, if you take up a certain Dhamma practice, if you work for the sake of others, or if you do a certain thing for the sake of others, motivated by bodhicitta and so forth, but you still have that intention to be rewarded. You think that may others reward me financially or otherwise. That's covetousness. So you trust yourself, the second entrustment, the innermost Dharma, which means your Dharma practice to beggarhood, even if you have to live like a beggar, even if you will die out of having no possessions, you will still practice the Dharma. And that brings us to entrusting beggarhood to death, which is what I've just said. If you have to practice like a beggar, in which you might not find food and drinks and so forth, you're willing to do that. Now, it's not that in a Dharma practice we need to be that extreme to deprive ourselves of food and drinks and so forth. It's rather that we need to look at our orientation, our priorities and so forth, and to think that my Dharma practice is paramount. This is my first priority. If there are things that I need to relinquish in order to make sure that my Dharma practice is my main priority, I'm willing to do that. Even to the point in which, if it happens that I die, that's okay. But again, we don't have to fall. We shouldn't fall into a sense of neglecting ourselves, right? It's not about neglecting ourselves, not taking care of our body. We have a precious human body with freedoms and opportunities, so we certainly need to care for the body. But it's about setting up priorities, right? The first priority is a Dharma practice. So that's the third entrustment. The fourth one is entrusting our innermost death to a barren ravine. So we might be concerned about what will happen to us when we die, in the sense that we might think that at some point I'm going to get old, I'm going to become sick, I'm going to go through a process of dying, and then I will die, and someone will need to take care of to take care of me, and also to take care of my body, possessions, and so forth. So here, Pabonka Rinpoche says, with respect to this entrustment, the fourth one is that you need to be thinking that it doesn't really matter to you what will happen to you after death. It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter to you who will get your possessions, who will get your possessions, who will perform the ceremonial rites, who will bury your body, what will happen to you after that. It says that the type of attitude that you should have is like setting off to an isolated place, practicing there, to the point in which when you die, no one will hear about it. So of course, it's not that we need to do that at the moment. If we can do that, if we are at the stage of mental development and we can do that, that's great. It doesn't say that now we have to relinquish everything, to cut the ties with a family members, and then to practice in isolation like yogis. But this is the fourth entrustment in general. Then it says that you proceed, I think. Proceed. Sorry? Yeah. Proceed by the immutable Vajra, in that you make your mind completely set, dead set, that this is what you're going to do. You're not going to change your mind. You're not going to listen to other people that are going to dissuade you from doing that. Your mind is completely set that this is what you're going to do. You also proceed with placing the non-embarrassment Vajra, in that you're not going to kind of think that others will rebuke me, they're going to look down on me, they're going to criticize me for doing that. So as you see, it's pretty much connected with the 8 bodily concerns. Not caring what others will think about you, not caring for your gain, praise, reputation, and so forth. That's proceeding with placing the non-embarrassment Vajra and keeping the company of exalted knowledge Vajra. I can't remember exactly what it is. Let's look at number 7. Never turn back from the pledges that you undertook, and completely give up the affairs of pointless attachment to this life. With firm intent on Dharma, bring balance to your life with the practice. So that's the Vajra of exalted knowledge. Then we have expulsion from the ranks of human, pursuing the ranks of dogs, and attending the ranks of gods. So in that sense, the type of attitude that we take is like we don't have to see yourself as having to comply with what other people do in our society. Of course, if you were to practice like a true and genuine yogi like Milarepa, for example, then you can look at Milarepa's life story and how he was totally outrageous in some of the stuff and some of the things that he did. So he was expelled, you could say, or expelled himself from human society. And then it's like turning yourself into the ranks of dogs, willing to live like that. There's a story, as far as I remember, taken from the poems of Milarepa, in which he met his sister. So he was going naked in his practice, living in a cave, sustaining himself on nettles alone, becoming green. And his sister looked at him and said, "This is pretty embarrassing. When I look at you, you look like a crazy person." When he looks at his sister, he said, "When I look at you, look at what you and other people do in society. From my point of view, you are behaving like a crazy person." Right? So expelling yourself from the ranks of humans, entering into the ranks of dogs, and through that attaining the rank of Buddha, which is the God of the gods. So this is the result of the practice. Now, what's the point of going through those 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampas? It's all about reducing our 8 worldly concerns. So again, it's not that now we have to do everything literally just like the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampas, because if we try to do it now, at least if I try to do it personally, I will fail miserably. I'm not ready to do it like that. But still, I think that there are certain attitudes that you can take the spirit of that and apply some of it to your Dhamma attitude. So any questions before we move on to verse 100?
I just want to check what the lyrics and 3 practices after the 3 budgets.
After the 3 budgets, let's look at. So you're looking, what are you looking at? So you're looking at Lama Zopa's. Okay. So expulsion from the ranks of humans, pursuing the ranks of dogs.
Just the title.
Pursuing the ranks of dogs and attaining the ranks of gods. So is it in the prayer book?
Yeah, page 183.
Page 183 in the Golden Prayer Book, for those of you who have that. So it says, with respect to expulsion from the ranks of humans, seeing the attachment to the excellences of this life as an enemy, expel yourself from the ranks of humans just as those who behave crazily are incongruous with those who have different degrees of striving for this life, like Milarepa and his sister. Then pursuing the ranks of dogs, reduced to bare necessity, food, clothing, social interaction. For the sake of Dhamma, be patient and endure whatever happens, hunger, thirst, and exhaustion. So it's particularly relevant to what we cover at the moment, right? Be patient and endure that, and do whatever happens. And through that you attain the ranks of gods, and seclusion, give up all the worldly affairs. If you bring your practice to its finality, you will attain in this life the state of the Buddha, the God of the gods. All right. So I've linked it up with the section of this text that speak of how it is unreasonable to be furious with that which hinders mundane interests, fame, renown, and so forth. Gain, we can include with that also gain, success in your work or what have you. It is unreasonable to do it. Now, reflecting on the benefits of doing that, we have section point 2 that we covered today. It is something that acts to liberate you from conditioned existence. It is unreasonable to be furious with it. So verse 100 says, a stuff which hinders praise and so forth acts to liberate you from conditioned existence, from samsara. It is unreasonable to be furious with it. Let's read through this verse quickly. I who seek freedom do not need to be bound by material gain and honor. So why should I be angry with those who free me from this bondage? It's pretty hard, isn't it, to put it into practice. When someone interrupts your material gain, praise, and so forth, it's hard to see that person as someone that helps you to live cyclic existence. So default reaction is to get angry, really angry or annoyed with that person. They're destroying my business, they're preventing my praise, they're preventing my reputation. It's hard to see that person as someone that helps you. In the same way that, before we said that, like I think in Geshe Langin Tampa's verse, when someone whom you trusted and you've helped before, trust this person, it gives you terrible harm. You should see that person as that enemy, as your supreme guru, spiritual teacher. It's very hard. And continues in saying, why should I be angry at the very root that do not let me in? Sorry, at the very doors that do not let me in, which are like Buddhas bestowing blessings to those who wish to enter the chamber of suffering. So remember that Yeshua recited that verse that we've covered, I think, before. I can't remember which chapter, that says that sentient beings want to be happy and they destroy the causes of their own happiness, and ignorantly, though they want to, so that they want to escape suffering, ignorantly, they create more and more causes for suffering. They rush towards the causes for suffering. So in that sense, we're like wanting to continue on in cyclic existence. To enter the chamber of suffering is to want to continue in cyclic existence. We still want to take care of this pervasive suffering of conditionality, the third type of suffering. We think that it's good to have this body. I need to take care of this body. It gives me pleasure. It gives me what I need. And through that, we create causes for suffering in this and future lifetimes. So if there's someone that interferes with the taking care of our body in a worldly way, through, again, the 8 worldly concerns, if they interfere with that, you can say that they're stopping the increase of some afflictions, attachment, pride, jealousy, and so forth. And through that, they stop some of the causes for the lower realms or for suffering and samsara in general. Of course, if we get angry at the person that does that, we create more causes for cyclic existence. If we avoid becoming angry, then the person is helping us to close the door on our afflictive states of mind. I think Geshe explained that quite extensively in his session. So Kate is saying that for her, the very hard part is when they are harming the vulnerable. Yeah. I think that we spoke before about how we can arrest anger towards those who harm others, those who are close to your heart, for example. So you can say there are those that are dispossessed, disempowered, those that are vulnerable. When one way of thinking about it is thinking that when such things happen, they arise because of causes and conditions. Now, we said before that we recognize that things arise because of karma, but it's not that we become dismissive of those that experience suffering and saying that, well, it's their karma to experience it, because probably that's not what they need to hear or to face at that point.
We're cultivating nothing else, I mean, different
Yeah. So when we think that occurs to karma, we use that in order to put a stop to anger. It doesn't mean that we put a stop to caring about them, because if we put a stop to anger, we'll be able to help them in a way that is much more effective, much more skillful. We'll be able to help them, and we'll also be able to help an aggressor, someone who harms or takes advantages of someone that is disempowered. We'll be able also to help them in a way that is probably more effective if we do it without anger, if we do it based on compassion. And particularly when we think about it as such things arise because of karma, I think that it also gives an opportunity to look at those situations is something that can be changed, because if it arises from karma, karma can be changed, cause and conditions can be changed, and therefore, even if they are harmed now, it doesn't mean that they're forever harmed or inherently harmed. The situation can change. So that was with respect to, that what was we covered with respect to not getting angry when our mundane interests are being interrupted. Now, here, the next section that we studied today says that it is unreasonable to be furious with that which hinders merit. So, although it says here from verse 6.7, it is mistaken, it is incorrect, it is the second point of this section. Sorry, of this section. It is unreasonable to be impatient with that which hinders the benefit directed towards yourself and your interests. So, if someone interrupts or hinders your merit, so what does it mean to hinder your merit? Like, in what way would that happen?
So if you're doing something, you're advocating for some people or something like that, and your boss decides that this is a useful point of your time, you should be instead completing paperwork, it's going to have the funding.
Yeah.
So, that's an example where you're doing something positive that's going to help people.
Yeah, you're doing something positive, it's going to help people, and then someone tells you that you need to do like the whole of paperwork, it kind of breaks up the momentum, your focus, and so forth. That's why, yeah, that's one example. Yeah, any practice of the 6 perfections. That is creating merit. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, in what way is your merit hindered or interrupted? So I think that both of you have spoken about kind of similar things, like you're trying to do something that is beneficial, let's say beneficial for others. You're trying to practice the 6 perfections and others interrupt it. Like, for example, or I think that you can also say in general, you want to do a certain meditation practice. You want to go on a retreat. You want to do, you want to make offerings to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. You come here to do offering bowls, water bowls offering. You're outside doing rounds around the stupa, and someone comes to have a conversation. Someone wants to have a conversation with you about mundane stuff, gossip or whatever. So whenever practices such as that are interrupted, we tend to get a bit annoyed or uncomfortable. Particularly, I think that for those of us who have been in retreat before, doing different types of retreats, if it's a group retreat, you have people that annoy you in a retreat or tip you, we'll say tip you off or tip you over? Annoy you. I remember that there was, annoy you. There was one retreat where there was someone that got really annoyed when people counted loud, not just kind of moving the beads really noisily, yeah, clicking the mala. Or someone was drinking water with gulps, kind of laudable gulp. It drove her off the wall. Sometimes we might try to do a meditation practice in the morning, and then someone is someone is mowing the grass, or you're using the leaf blower or what have you. So we tend to get annoyed, and we think that they're interrupting my merit, they're interrupting my practice. Or you could also say, take it even to what Dechen said. You're trying to do something that is beneficial for others, not on your meditation cushion, but outside, and someone kind of just create obstacles for you. So
when you perceive it that they're creating obstacles for you, they're just going about the business. So it is the efficiency not doing it.
Yeah, so you perceive that they're creating obstacles for you, but Is it just what you think? It's your afflictions that are creating obstacles for you. So let's look at what Shantideva says to that. Sorry? All right. I'll have a look at that in a second. So it says, one should abide by the supreme austerity as part of it is unreasonable to be furious because merit has been hindered. What's this Graham saying? People like me who forget the retreat is supposed to be in silent.
People what?
Yeah, people forget that retreat should be silent retreat.
So I don't know what would be wondering about talking.
Yeah.
We forget.
We forget stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't see it so much as affliction. That people.
Yeah, I'm getting old. You tend to forget.
I see it more as something related to cause and effect, to karma. You know, like I can choose to think about it in this way, which is, you know, how dare they do this and that, and I become angry. Or I can just choose to think, it's not my power to do this at this stage. I need to put my energy elsewhere.
Well, if you react to that in that way, that that cause and condition your karma doesn't allow you to do it like that now, you will do it later, and that's a way of dealing with irritation and anger and preventing it from arising.
Yes.
If you let your afflictions take over, this is what Shantideva says here.
Yeah. And I guess that's why it's in this chapter, because any of those occasions that we mentioned, it would provide us all with an opportunity to practice patience, rather than getting angry or anything like that. But, you know, there's just that one with the noises in the morning, the people talking, this and that. You know, it's only going to be there for half an hour, and go for no more than an hour maximum. I can you know, just be patient with it, rather than, yeah, that's not all about me.
What about me? All right, so saying this hinders my merit, with him too, it is incorrect to be angry. If there is no fortitude similar to patience, should I not abide in that? So if we get angry, annoyed, when someone interrupts a practice, so creating difficulties for us in a certain virtuous activity, and our afflictions are triggered, our afflictions arise, then that's working in not the opposite way, the wrong way. If we practice patience, then we should use these situations for practicing patience, as it says here.
Well, I guess too, what is really interrupting your practice is your annoyance, whereas if you practice patience, your annoyance is a little bit more quiescent. And so the practice is
Well, I mean, that becomes the practice.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, now suppose that you're doing a karma abiding retreat. You have a morning session where you're trying to be concentrated, and then someone starts to drill just next to you, like nails on glass. The sound that is really annoying. So your concentration can be distracted, and you might think that, well, it doesn't work now, and there's this noise at the background, but I don't need to get annoyed with that. You can take a break. So in that sense, you can say that your practice is interrupted to a certain degree, but it's not followed up, or it's not involved with anger. You're patient with that.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter what the sound is. It could be a fly buzzing in the room against the window, as opposed to the drilling.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I mean, there's always something in it. Unless you go into a cave that's underground, yes, that's what they encourage you to, because it is quiet in there compared to being out in the open like this. But yeah, it's the fly buzzing against the window that's going to disturb the mind. or that bird.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was thinking about the birds because on a retreat with Alan Wallace, and he said, "What is that squawky bird?" It's not squawking, it's laughing. It's a kookaburra. They laugh, they don't squawk.
I'm like, is that what he says?
Yeah, Australian birds are not subtle. They don't tweet, do they? They do not tweet.
You perceive it as a squawk. It's a laughing kookaburra.
Every time they
Just loud, like,
yeah, exactly. They are.
Anyway, before we move on to covering one or two of the secondary offenses, I just wanted to also mention one point with respect to it is unreasonable to be furious with that which hinders your own praise and renown, and to link it up with that which hinders merit. So Geshe also mentioned that today in relation to how when he arrived at the monastery, he was just happy with having 3 meals a day in classes.
And stale bread.
Sorry?
And
stale bread, yeah.
That was his problem.
Yeah. There you go, stale bread. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I just
Stale bread.
thought this teacher probably split his bread. And so he had the other half.
that's probably what made Geshe so happy. Because he probably knew it wasn't.
But we can connect it with the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampa, in the sense that for us, sometimes when we think of what do I need to do in order to practice the Dhamma, it seems that we're kind of really looking at how do I sustain a really comfortable, cushy Dhamma practice in which I can still enjoy some comforts. Like, for example, we go into a retreat, or I go into a retreat, and I make sure that I stash up with chocolate bars so I can have a bit of chocolate in between sessions. Or, we think that I need to have the absolute comfortable cushion or room or retreat place or what have you in order to have a successful practice. And if it doesn't really meet our expectations, then it seems that the whole experience of retreat is completely destroyed, right? Yeah. It was, yeah. Ruined.
That's what I remember when I was telling you my plans for the chocolate I was going to take on my retreat. He said, that's a bit excessive, isn't it?
Yeah, Olaf is saying, bring the coffee machine along. Yeah, actually, yeah, I do. I do. And there's no way that I would start a retreat without making sure that I'm stashed up with coffees. So that's like an example of how we're so bourgeois in our attitude to Dhamma practice. In that, if it takes just a little thing to really.
I have to say, on a really day Bodhisattva retreat at the Institute, someone decided that was their opportunity to go off coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they lasted at the most 1.5 days.
1.5 days without coffee.
It's living, yes. Living care. It was like I had to live with it. Yeah, maybe do it for them. Yeah.
I don't think that I've ever tried giving up coffee for 1.5 days. Yeah.
It's best to wean off slowly.
All right. Yeah, but the thing is that why would I try that? I mean, like, what's the point? Yeah, it's like why would I try giving up chocolate apart from actually giving up attachment?
Yeah,
that could be a good. Yeah, that could be a good reason. But anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going into retreat now, so there's no point. There's no point in trying it out. Yeah. Yeah. So, jokes aside, let's look at a couple of secondary offenses. So, 30. We covered yesterday 36. So remember that now we are covering secondary offenses which are incompatible with ethical discipline that acts for the welfare of others, right? So we've covered not acting to assist one in need, not attending to those who are ill, Now we're going to look at not acting to alleviate suffering. They're quite similar to each other. They're speaking about not doing enough for the sake of others. So let's look at 37. If out of anger or laziness, you do not try to alleviate the suffering of those who are suffering in any one of the following 7 ways, it is a secondary offense of not acting to alleviate suffering. So the 7 types of suffering related to a person being blind, deaf, and physically handicapped. So that's 3. Then tied out by a journey or suffering from the 5 obscurations. The 5 obscurations are what we've mentioned before in relation to cultivating concentration. So we can scroll and look at that in a second. Then we have not doing enough, not acting to alleviate or to help them to rid themselves of their misconceptions, such as ill will and so forth, and being put down by others. So if we have someone that suffers from a certain disability, they either being blind, deaf, or other physical disability. And here it says that it speaks about physical disability, but I can think that just as well you can include within that also some mental issues, mental difficulties, or disabilities, to whatever that might be. If there's someone that we can help, we have the skills to do that. Either we can listen to that person or we have an actual skill. It doesn't have to do with just being able to cure that person or to treat them, but we can also do their shopping. We can also take them out. We can also help them just to do something at home. But we don't do that because of laziness or because of disliking that person. That's a secondary offense. Again, I think that all the different things that we said with respect to the previous ones, like, for example, if you have other things that you're doing, which in the great scheme of things are more important than that, then you can decide what's going to be the best course of action. In the sense that, if you think that I could either, I have 2 options here. Either I'm going to stop studying and practicing, stop studying, or you can say and practice meditation, and I would go and be a 24 hours a day carer for a certain person. Which one is going to work best for me in terms of my spiritual development? You can look at that person before you, of course, who can say, cannot say what's best for you, but you can look at your own priorities in terms of what will be the most important thing for you to do at this point in time in your life.
But there's also a way of looking at it, like just thinking here we are at too busy. We're having a conversation the other day about getting an audio book, for example, to enable people and like working with the system to enable people who are more hard of hearing as well to be able to hear the teachings. And then we can look at our whole access issues. And, like in a different way. And it's not coming across, it's not like each one individually going and caring for someone, although that can happen as well. But as an institution, enabling people to access the Dharma.
Yeah, creating easier pathways for people to access the Dharma here is part of, if you neglect that and you think that it's too hard, and therefore I'm not going to do it, or if you think that, anyway, if they have problems, then they have to deal with that. That type of attitude, then you fail to a certain degree in your care for others, which is part of the practice of the 6 perfections as part of the Bodhisattva vow. So, we spoke about the 7 types of suffering related to person being blind, deaf, or physically handicapped, or suffering from some form of mental conditions. I think you can end that in. Someone that is tired out by a journey, or suffering from the 5 obscurations. The 5 obscurations were taught in relation to training and absorption. So they are here in number 25. Excitement and regret, ill will, drowsiness and dullness, yearning for sensory objects, and doubt. So if there's something that you can do for someone that is suffering from the 5 obscurations which hinder the development of concentration, but you don't do that because you're lazy, couldn't care less, or you dislike that person, that's a secondary offense. If someone is being put down by others, right? If someone is being excluded, if they're being put down, if they have a smear campaign against them, they have a shame campaign against them. It's quite, if they suffer from cyberbullying or other types of bullying, and you can do something for the person. You can put a stop to that. You can reach out. You can help improve the situation. But you think that it's too hard. It's not my business. They need to toughen up. This is how it is in the world, and so forth. Which, in some sense, you can say that are excuses for inaction. That is likely to fulfill this secondary offense. Any questions? So let's look at the next one and see if we have time for that. Let's try to do it. No, actually, well, let's see if we can finish that also. If number 38 says, if out of anger or laziness, you do not use whatever faultless reasoning is appropriate to properly instruct a sentient being engaged in an improper pursuit of aims, focus on this and future lives. It is a secondary offense of not using reason to instruct the negligent. So you have someone that is either engaged in wrong livelihood, or they're engaged in some other negative actions. As it says here, they're engaged in improper pursuit of aims, focus on this and future lives. You can do something to help that person, to advise them using faultless reasoning. But you choose not to do that because of laziness or anger. It is a secondary offense. Now, we've covered a couple of secondary offenses that were similar to that, number 9 and 16, as far as I remember. Let's look at that. So number 16 says, if in seeing that a severe punishment would correct another person's faulty behavior and speech, you do not use those means to correct them just so that you can avoid hurting his feelings, it is a secondary offense of not correcting others, even though they are afflicted. Number 9, I think, says, 8. If out of bitterness, anger, or laziness, you neglect or ignore someone with lapsed ethics on account of his or her having committed an act with no intervening period or incurred an ethical rude downfall, it is a secondary offense of neglecting those with lapsed ethics. So it seems that, first of all, number 8 speaks of really severe cases. Someone has lapsed ethics in the sense that they've broken the vow, or they're engaged in activity that will bring a defeat to the vow. They are committing, on the verge of committing, will commit, have committed one of those 5 actions without intervening period. If you don't do something in order to point it out to them, it is a secondary offense. I mean, this and number 16 and the current one are pretty difficult because we have to be skillful because, I mean, we don't like people bossing us around, right? If we adopt a bossy attitude towards others, it is likely that they will shut down. They will not be willing to listen to us. But even if we don't behave in a bossy way, if we just sometimes try to point it out skillfully, still it might be interpreted as if we're interfering with the business of others. Even if we try to be skillful, it's not always a criticism or approach will be accepted.
It's also seen to be judgmental.
Yeah.
It might be that it's not received well. But there's a weighing that up to do it in the most skillful way, if you can, rather than saying, oh, I won't say anything because you know, they won't be receptive or offend.
Yeah, they will not like me.
That at some future point, it might come to them, oh, yeah, that was right. You know, it might, and we don't know that. You know, I think it's okay in the short term.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even about being this like that, but I think sometimes if you say something to somebody, they're just it's only going to heighten their anger.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
No, and you certainly don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So you just can just keep a wide berth of that.
Yeah. Tiptoe.
That's it, tiptoe through the tree.
Encouraging. Encouraging. It's just silly.
So the number 8, just to wrap it up. So number 8 speaks about not correcting someone that has a really serious infraction, that is doing something wrong. I mean, particularly here, I think that for us, it's easy to think of ourselves as a community here. So you see one of your fellow monastics and you think that they're about to do something that could seriously endanger the vow. They might do it because they do not know, or just because, I mean, we are afflicted people, you know, sometimes it happens because of our affliction. So if you can find a skillful way to just point it out to someone, you can give it a go and see if it helps. So that's number 8. Number 16 said, you don't want to correct someone's faulty behavior because you're afraid of hurting their feelings. You don't want them to think ill of you. It is a secondary offense of not correcting others, even though they are afflicted. So here the motivation is that you don't want to hurt them feeling, or you don't want them to dislike you. Here in number 38, it is, first of all, out of anger or laziness. You do not use whatever faultless reasoning is appropriate to properly instruct sentient beings engaged in improper pursuit of aims focused on of this and future life. So first off, you can say that it seems less serious than serious infraction. It's a general incorrect way of going about different things in this, but also in this life, but also concerned with future lifetimes. Right, so previous one was serious, this one seems to be lighter. If you don't do anything to point it out, because if you're lazy or because you don't like the person, secondary offense. Again, we need to develop skills in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, it's, you know, when you're dealing with volunteers, which you know, which I have done in my past life, is that, you know, it's inevitable that you'll invariably come across a volunteer that out of the kindness of their hearts are just, you know, they knock a lot of people's feathers, or they just, you know, they have the right motivation, but yet their behaviour is not appropriate. And you try and confront these people, and confront's not the right word. You try and discuss this with them, the difficulties that they're having. And, you know, often they just reflect it back because it's out there. You know, people often find it really difficult, and that's with Dharma. I mean, we can introduce Dharma concepts in just general good psychological points as well. That, you know, the difficulty comes when we're all not discussing, or we're all not managing a difficult issue like this from the same platform. We've got different ways of viewing the world. We've got different ways in which we cope with the world. We have different experiences, etc., etc. So then when you're going to discuss this with somebody, it's difficult to have it.
Well, being skillful in discussing it with others is also trying to assess their disposition. First of all, you can bring up issues with someone that you know that is, or that you suspect that is studying the Dhamma, trying to put it into practice. So you might approach it in one way. Now, when I go back home and visit my friends and family members and so forth, they are not Buddhists. You know, if I try to tell them to stop killing mosquitoes or flies, they will think that I'm a wacko, or that I'm an idiot. You know, so yeah, or that I'm pious or whatever, what have you. So, you know, if I have to, when I interact with them, I have to find ways of speaking about certain situations, but in a way that will not, they will not reject it straight off. And that's about developing skills.
And that's what it comes down to, isn't it, with these, with all those infractions. I mean, it would be curious to see that we've gone from severe to not so severe to not so severe again. What are the ones, further ones down the track that we, I mean, because, you know, because that's when, you know, when Geshe says that his teacher taught him how to manage situations like that. And you can see it with Geshe. I find him quite skillful in the way he manages difficult people. Yeah, it's including myself. I'm sure I'm not easy, but I know I'm not. But it's hard to find good teachers in the West.
All right, let's leave it here for now. It is hard. Yeah, totally hear you. All right, let's leave it here for now. Due to this version might quickly become a Guru Buddha, indeed all transmigratory beings without exception to that state. May the precious Supreme Bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that reason not decline, but increase more and more. In this land encircled by snowy mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all powerful Chinmazik Tenzin Gyatso. Please remain at this samsara end. You uphold the subduous moral way, says the bountiful birth of sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, protector of myself and others, your disciples. Please live long. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
So is Geshe teaching on Saturday this week?
Is it?